Okay, we'll start now. In last classes, what I have done is I have explained or given detail analysis of the this year's 2025 ethics GS4 exam paper of UPSC, and also discussed all the case studies, all the 6 case studies of section B of the paper. See, these two things are already available as videos on this YouTube channel, so you can see there. In previous classes, I have done that. Today, what I'm going to do is we'll discuss the theory questions of this year's exam paper. That is section A. As you know, in section A, there were 6 questions. Each question was having 2 sub-questions, and one question was having ABC, 3 sub-questions. So basically, there were 13 questions, if you can say in total, and each was of 10 marks and to be replied in about 150 words. So we now will start discussion on theoretical ethics paper or question of this year's 2025 exam. I will just share the document and then we can further discuss. In next classes, I will complete other topics of ethics paper, which I have left. I have not been able to complete till now. So now, anyway, let us start this section A of UPSC ethics paper of this year, 2025. This is the first question. First question, part A. I will read the English version. Hindi version you can read yourself and understand. In the present digital age, social media has revolutionized our way of communication and interaction. However, it has raised several ethical issues and challenges. Describe the key ethical dilemmas in this regard. So, directive is describe the key ethical dilemmas of basically social media. So, in a way, this can be also termed as a question inspired by current affairs, because now social media issues are on rise. So, and you will see, I mean, a few other questions are also inspired by current affairs. So that has become the trend now. Not only case studies, even theoretical questions are also inspired by current affairs. So accordingly, we should prepare also. We should try to prepare also accordingly so that we will be, our preparation will be up to the mark. So now let us see what can be the answer in about 150 words. Again, I will read the directive. Describe the key ethical dilemmas in this regard. So what are basically key ethical dilemmas as far as use of social media is concerned? Now let us see that. Social media has widened communication and democratic participation, yet it poses major ethical dilemmas. So in first sentence itself, we have reached the directly to the question. I mean, we are not giving a big introduction because number of words are very limited. So you cannot simply, in 2-3 sentences, you cannot keep on explaining that. So we have to start listing what are the ethical dilemmas, that's all. So now first, freedom of expression. So here we are quoting articles also, constitution articles also, and because wherever constitutional articles, because that will come in constitutional morality, and even Supreme Court cases also form a component of that. So wherever legal or statutory things needs to be quoted, that also we have quoted, and we should quote also. Similarly, ethical theories also we have to quote. Ethical terminology we have to use. So first, freedom of expression versus harm prevention. This is first dilemma. It becomes critical when hate speech and misinformation spread unchecked, as seen in this case, Supreme Court case we are quoting, Shreyas Singhal versus Union of India, 2015. Second, privacy versus transparency arises when user data is monetized without consent, undermining dignity, concerns affirmed in, again, K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India case. Third, So this is first, second, third ethical dilemma, algorithmic bias versus neutrality. Questions fairness as platforms amplify selective voices for profit, contrary to democratic equality. Similarly, anonymity versus accountability. This is again another fourth ethical dilemma, enables cyberbullying and radicalization. Ethical thinkers highlight caution. Mill's liberty principle warns freedom ends where harm begins. Kant's deontology stresses duty to truth. Habermas views social media as a rational public sphere. Gandhi Satya Ahimsa urges truth and non-violence in communication. The second ARC on ethics in governance also emphasizes responsible technology use. So basically, these ethical theories and ethical thinkers we have quoted. So the challenge is to balance rights, corporate profit, and societal well-being so that social media empowers democracy rather than undermines it. So this completes the first answer. What are the ethical issues? And also, in a way, we have evaluated it and also given a very positive kind of conclusion, which is very, very important in ethics paper, because positive, forward-looking, futuristic conclusions should be given, so that the examiner also understands that your answer is solution-based. Your answer is pragmatic, positive, and futuristic. It's not a very negative kind of answer. So that also has been done. Second, part B now will go. First question one, part B. Constitutional morality is not a neutral sentiment, but a product of civil education and adherence of the rule of law. Examine the significance of constitutional morality for public servant, highlighting the role in promoting good governance and ensuring accountability in public administration. So here, basically, the directive is examine the significance of constitutional morality for public servant, highlighting the role in promoting good governance and ensuring accountability in public administration. So now we will start. Obviously, whenever constitutional morality discussion comes, Ambedkar's name comes first, because that we have to quote. And his thinking as far as constitutional morality is very, very valuable here. So B.R. Ambedkar observed that constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment, but cultivated through civil education and adherence to rule of law. So if you see this statement is also from Ambedkar. Constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment, but cultivated through civil education and adherence to rule of law. For public servant, it means fidelity to justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity beyond technical legality. Its significance for good governance lies in ensuring fairness, inclusiveness, and citizen-centric services. Upholding Articles 41 and 21, administrators like E. Sridharan. Now, examples are also very, very important as far as ethics papers are concerned. Live examples you can give of present-day administrators, or even some historical examples also you can quote wherever possible. So here we are quoting the example of E. Sridharan. But only thing I just keep on telling to students, please do quote only that example which is non-controversial. So don't quote a controversial example, because then you will risk annoying some examiners, and you may get even not the marks not as desired. So E. Sridharan demonstrated integrity and efficiency in Delhi Metro, showing how constitutional morality nurtures transparency and responsive governance. The Supreme Court, again we are quoting Supreme Court case, Puttaswamy case, affirmed dignity and privacy as core governance values. Its significance for accountability lies in restraining. So now you see, in directive, there are two things have been asked. The significance of constitutional morality for public servant. First thing is role in promoting good governance, and second, ensuring accountability in public administration. So accordingly, we have divided two paragraphs. So first is role in good governance, and second, significance for accountability. So here, our answer is addressing the question head on. Basically, whatever is the directive, we are not deviating. Even one sentence is not here and there deviating from the directive. So again, second paragraph here, Our second point here will be its significance for accountability. Lies in restraining arbitrariness and treating public power as trusteeship, echoing Gandhi's ethics of service. Again, we are quoting Supreme Court, another very important case, Keshwanand Bharati and Naute Johar cases reaffirmed that governance is accountable to constitutional principles, not majoritarian impulses. Without constitutional morality, corruption, discrimination, and erosion of trust follows. Constitutional morality, as Ambedkar's ethical compass and Raoul's fairness principle, transforms administration into vehicles of justice and accountability. So this again, we are having a very positive looking conclusion and we are concluding this. Now we'll go to second question. Second question. You see, I mean, this year's paper, various statements from various thinkers has been taken. Then some additional question has been asked on that. So, I mean, this is not a very, very easy kind of, because first you have to decipher what has been actually asked. And then you have to basically frame the answer there and then you have to write. So what I want to say is this year's exam paper was not, in my opinion, was tougher than the previous years. And this in my analysis I've already done. You can see my analysis in another video which is already available. But the point is, you see the questions. I mean, it's not very direct kind of question. First, some statement has been given and then some question has been asked basing on that statement, which is also not 100% based on that statement. So that is the thing. So I will just read now 2A. Karl von Clausewitz once said, war is a diplomacy by other means. Critically analyze the above statement in the present context of contemporary geopolitical conflict. So basically, war is a diplomacy by other means has to be critically examined in the present context. I mean, this is the directive of the question. Now let us see. Karl von Clausewitz, writing in backdrop of Napoleonic wars, argued in On War 1832. So this is his book. Now in exam you may not remember because I mean, so it's not necessary. If you don't remember, don't write. But now I have prepared the answer. So I mean, this is the perfect and complete answer. So definitely in exam, 100% perfection you cannot expect unless you know the details beforehand. So here you may some references you may be missing, but then while preparing, at least you should know what is the perfect answer. So now you see, Karl von Clausewitz, writing in backdrop of Napoleonic wars, argued in On War 1832. This is his book, that war is the continuation of politics by other means. He observed that states often employed military force when diplomacy failed, reflecting the realist tradition later advanced by Hans Morgenthau. Contemporary conflicts such as the Russia-Ukraine war or South China Sea disputes reflect this logic, where armed coercion furthers political ends. So these are the contemporary examples, because the question also says in contemporary world you have to examine this statement. Yet in 21st century, Clausewitz's dictum is only partially valid. So now we are critically examining this because the directive is critically analyze. So you simply, I mean, you cannot talk one side of the argument. You have to talk both sides. So critical analysis is like that. So now other side. Yet in 21st century, Clausewitz's dictum is only partly valid. Immanuel Kant's version of perpetual peace, nuclear deterrence, economic interdependence, and globalization have made full-scale wars prohibitively costly. Instead, states increasingly resort to sanctions, cyber operations, hybrid warfare, and Joseph Nye's soft power. You may be knowing, I mean, US has already placed sanctions on so many countries. So this is the substitute for a direct war, because now economic warfare is much more dangerous than actual warfare. So accordingly, it has been mentioned. So Joseph Nye's theory of soft power to achieve strategic aims, international law, the UN Charter, and Geneva Conventions further delegitimize war as routine state policy. So Clausewitz explains the persistence of conflict, but in today's geopolitics, diplomacy survives best through law, cooperation, and institutions, not through war. So this is the conclusion. So, I mean, in conclusion, we are not agreeing actually with the Clausewitz. Only partly actually agreeing with him. So, I mean, this is how you have to write the answer. Now we'll go to part B of the second question. Keeping the national security in mind, examine the ethical dilemmas related to controversies over environmental clearance of development projects in ecologically sensitive border areas in the country. So here a number of terms are important because first thing, border areas, then ecologically sensitive projects, and then you have to examine ethical dilemmas of environmental clearance. So basically, environmental clearance of projects in border areas have to be examined here. So it's not that you, I mean, focus has to be in border areas, particularly then you have to talk about security also, basically, because border areas, other countries are also involved. So a number of security issues also may come. So anyway, so we'll start. Controversies over environmental clearance in ecologically sensitive border areas reveal complex ethical dilemmas, because we have to examine ethical dilemmas. This is the directive. On the one hand, projects like Char Dham Highway and border tunnels are vital for national security, troop mobility, and connectivity. Delaying them may endanger sovereignty and utilitarian ethics, justify such measures for the greater good. On the other hand, large-scale deforestation and blasting, as in Dibang Valley Hydel project. So you see, the examples also which have been quoted here are of border areas. For example, Char Dham Yatra project or Dibang Valley project threaten fragile ecosystems, biodiversity, and tribal livelihoods. This raises issues of intergenerational justice, because whenever you talk of environment, intergenerational issues will come. So intergenerational justice, Raoult's fairness principle, and Hans Jonas' responsibility principle, which caution against actions that irreversibly harm future generations. So this is a very, very important point as far as environmental issues are concerned. Article 21 links environment to right to life, while Article 48A and 51AG enjoin protection of nature. Gandhi's trusteeship reminds us that natural resources must be preserved, not exploited. Thus, the dilemma is balancing immediate defense imperatives with long-term ecological sustainability. So basically, lasting security requires seeing ecology and defense as complementary pillars of national survival. So this is the conclusion as far as this, because where security issues are also there, environmental issues will be there, development also is required. So all these issues have to be mentioned. Now we'll go to third question. Given below are the three quotations of great thinkers. What do each of these quotations convey to you in present context? So first is of Tiruvallur, those who in trouble, untroubled are, will trouble them itself. Those who in trouble, untroubled are, will trouble itself. This is the statement from Tiruvallur. Now let us see how we can explain this. Tiruvallur's couplet, those who in trouble, untroubled are, will trouble itself, highlights the ethical value of resilience and equanimity. Calmness in adversity weakens the power of crisis, enabling wise and balanced action. So basically, the people who are untroubled in the troubled times will trouble the troubled times itself. So this is the meaning basically. So resilience and equanimity, calmness in adversity will win the trouble. This is what is meaning basically. This is what has been told in first paragraph. For public servants, this virtue is essential. During disasters, a district officer who remains, so examples, here we are giving the examples how this is applicable to day-to-day administration. So during disasters, a district officer who remains composed can organize relief more effectively than one paralyzed by panic. In elections, Neutrality under political pressure reflects Ambedkar's idea of constitutional morality. Administrators like E. Sridharan, who delivered the Delhi Metro with integrity despite obstacles, exemplify how equanimity produces lasting public good. So basically, some situations and then some examples. So this will make or upgrade the answer and will ensure that examiner understands that you have understood the whole question and then accordingly you are answering. Philosophically, it reflects stoicism. That is strength through inner calm. This is very important. Strength through inner calm. Aristotle's virtue ethics of courage and moderation and Gandhi's principles of self-restraint. Without such composure, challenges breed misgovernance, arbitrariness, and loss of public trust. By mastering calmness in crisis, a leader transforms obstacles into opportunities, truly troubling trouble itself. So now this is again very, very important conclusion. So if you are calm in a crisis situation, you will transform the obstacle or trouble itself in the opportunity. So this is what has been mentioned. I will go to question 3, part B. So again, second quotation has been given, which needs to be explained. So all these quotations have to be explained in the administration perspective, along with administrative examples and the situations which a public servant or which a civil servant faces in his day-to-day functioning. So this is the very, very important point as far as the writing answers are concerned of the ethics paper. So the question is, the quotation is, the greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. This is what William James has told. So because attitudes will change the life. If you change the attitude, your life will change. So I mean, this is what has to be explained. So now let us see. William James insight that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes highlights the transformative power of mindset. Attitudes shape how individuals perceive challenges and respond to them. For public servants, so again we are coming to public administration, or how this is applicable to administration. For public servants, a service-oriented attitude ensures empathy, integrity, and innovation in governance. Armstrong Palmer, another example we are giving of a good officer. Armstrong Palmer's Miracle Road project in Manipur showed how optimism and resolve can mobilize community. Administrators who approach Manrega as empowerment rather than burden ensure transparency and citizen dignity. Institutions to nurture attitudes. So, for example, RTI, Citizens Charter, and training in Labasana reinforce accountability and public service values. Ethically, this reflects Aristotle's virtue ethics and Gandhi's trusteeship, which sees office as a moral responsibility. Conversely, negative attitudes. So here another point has been given. So how attitudes affects the life. So on the one hand, positive attitudes will make it better. On the other hand, negative attitudes combined with weak institutional culture breeds cynicism, corruption, and loss of trust. So this also we need to mention, because both sides we need to talk. I mean, even though negative thing we are talking very briefly, because that but still it needs to be mentioned. By reshaping attitudes, both individuals and institutions can transform governance into a vehicle of justice and trust. Again, very positive looking conclusion. Now we'll go to part C. The strength of the society is not its law, but in the morality of its people. Swami Vivekananda. So this, again, let us see how we'll explain it. Swami Vivekananda's assertion that the strength of society is not in its laws, but in the morality of its people underlines that ethical values give laws their real force. Laws may compel, but morality inspires voluntary compliance and sustains social trust. A society rooted in honesty, compassion, and justice becomes resilient beyond statutes, prohibition laws. Now, some example also we'll give. Prohibition laws, for example, often fail where social morality does not support them. While Swachh Bharat Mission, another government program we are talking, succeeds when cleanliness is internalized as a civic duty. Similarly, the election commissions effectiveness depends not only on its legal mandate, but also on citizens' moral commitment to free and fair polls. Preamble and Article 51 reminds citizens of their constitutional duty to uphold these values. Philosophically, this reflects Kant's duty ethics and Gandhi's Satya Ahimsa, echoed by Vivekananda's call for moral strength. So laws and morality are complementary, but without morality, laws remains hollow. So this is again very, very important for a ethics paper, because you have to give the stress, stress on the importance of morality along with legal issues also. Now we'll go to question 4A. For any kind of social reengineering by successfully implementing welfare schemes, a civil servant must use reason and critical thinking in an ethical framework. So use of reason and critical thinking in an ethical framework is the point to be remembered. Justify this statement with suitable examples. So here, straight away, we have to come to examples for justifying this statement. Just after giving some brief 2-3 sentences, we have to come to examples. Now let us see. The statement is justified because welfare schemes succeed not by rules alone, but through a civil servant's ability to apply reason and critical thinking within an ethical framework. Complex realities, resource constraints, diverse needs, and political pressures require rational analysis and innovation. For instance, Manrega officers using reason data, verification, and social audits reduce leakages. Again, COVID, another example we are quoting. So COVID relief administrators who critically assessed oxygen supply and devised fair distribution protected vulnerable groups. Yet, rationality must operate within an ethical compass. Without ethics, reason risks degenerating into cost cutting. Without rationality, ethics may slip into inefficiency and populism. So both are required actually. That's what has been mentioned here. Kant's duty ethics stresses responsibility. Aristotle's practical wisdom balances efficiency with fairness. Raoul's fairness principle, all these you know already, because most of the students, they remember all these, so you have to use it also properly. Raoul's fairness principle safeguards equity, and Gandhi's trusteeship reminds that welfare resources are held in the trust for the poor. The second ARC similarly urged blending rationality with ethics for citizen-centric governance. One more thing I just want to tell, you have to underline your answer while writing or practicing also all important terms, names, etc., ethical terms, ethical theories, thinkers' names, their writings or books, etc. You have to underline. So whatever needs to be underlined, I have already made it bold here. So just to make you understand that these are the terms, important terms and names, etc., which needs to be underlined so that it catches the attention of examiner immediately. So this is what is required. Thus, welfare schemes achieve genuine social reengineering only when reason and critical thought are anchored in ethics. So this is the again positive looking conclusion. We'll go to 4th B. What are the major teachings of Mahavir? Explain their relevance in the contemporary world. So this question has clearly 2 parts. First part, you have to give the major teachings of Mahavir, and second part, how it is relevant to contemporary world. So now let us see. Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankar of Jainism, taught an ethical life, restraint and compassion. His 5 vows, Ahimsa, Satya, Aste, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha, along with Anekantvad. These are again Jaina theories of very, very important theories of Jainism. Anekantvad and Syadvad form his core teachings. So these are the core teachings of Jainism given by Mahavir. These principles remain deeply relevant. So now second part of the question we are coming. These principles remain deeply relevant. Ahimsa, later embraced by Gandhi, inspires peaceful conflict resolution and ecological ethics. Satya underpins transparency in governance. Tools like RTI and whistleblowing. So some examples also we are quoting how these ethical principles are further amplified by those principles or those administrative examples. So RTI and whistleblowing resonates with this ideal. Another thing is Asteya finds application in social audits under Manrega, curbing corruption. Aparigraha addresses consumerism and aligns with UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Similarly, Anekantvad and Syadvad provides a framework for dialogue and tolerance in plural democracies. So you see, now this paragraph is second part of the answer, and this is first part of the answer from here. So this is what both parts we have covered. And now we'll go to briefly some critical view also, very brief, because Jainism is usually, I mean, they have given very good theories and this thing, but however, some one or two word of caution we have to say, and then we have to conclude. However, values must be institutionalized. Otherwise, they risk remaining ideals without practice. So this is very, very important comment we are giving on this. I mean, it's not that any negative or positive we are talking, but just a practical problem we have mentioned here, which administrators do face. Mahavira's ethics, though ancient, offer a timeless framework for peace, accountability, and sustainability, making them indispensable to the contemporary governance and society. This is very, very important. Now we'll go to fifth question. One who is devoted to one's duty attains highest perfection in life. This is the statement. Analyze this statement with reference to sense of responsibility and personal fulfillment as civil servant. Now we'll go to the answer. The statement, one who is devoted to one's duty attains highest perfection in life, can be analyzed through the civil servant's responsibility, fulfillment, institutional role, etc. So here, if you see the question, this statement has to be analyzed with two aspects. One is sense of responsibility, and second is personal fulfillment. So accordingly, we have to address, because we can write anything on that, but that will not give you good marks. So you have to, I mean, see what is the, I mean, critical point in the question, what is the directive, and then accordingly you have to frame the answer. So first is sense of responsibility, second is personal fulfillment. So with respect to this only we have to answer here. So again, let us see. A strong sense of responsibility. So this is first point we are writing. Ensures impartiality and accountability. Again, example we are giving. Armstrong Palme, who mobilized citizens to build a rural road, and E. Sridharan, who delivered the Delhi Metro with probity, show how devotion to duty transforms governance. Institutions like CAG under Vinod Rai also demonstrated how conscientious duty builds public trust. So these 2-3 examples we have given for sense of responsibility. Second is personal fulfillment. Now see personal fulfillment. Equally, devotion yields personal fulfillment. Beyond promotions, the inner satisfaction of serving the poor or upholding constitutional values provides meaning. This reflects the Gita's Niskam Karma, Kant's duty ethics, and Gandhi's trusteeship. So these theories we are quoting here. So this is second part. Then again, we will have some critical comments and then conclusion. Responsibility and fulfillment reinforce each other, creating a virtuous cycle of service. Yet, blind obedience without ethics risks harm. Hence, the need for constitutional morality as a guide. So this is a very important point, has been mentioned. Thus, duty harmonizes responsibility, fulfillment, and integrity, enabling civil servants to achieve true perfection through service. I will go to 5th B. To achieve holistic development goal, a civil servant acts as enabler and active facilitator of growth rather than regulator. What specific measures will you suggest to achieve this goal? So now the directive is what specific measures you will suggest. So you have to suggest some specific measures that a civil servant acts as a facilitator, an enabler rather than regulator. So this is what has to be done. So this is directive of the question. So you have to understand, and then accordingly you have to answer. Otherwise, your answer will be haywire. I mean, something else will be asked, something else you will answer, and you will not get good marks. So now we'll go to answer. Holistic development demands that civil servants act as a facilitator of growth, not mere regulators. This requires a shift from control to citizen-centric service. Specific measures include. So now we are coming to specific measures, and this is what has been asked. So that we will give some list of specific measures. Now let us see. You can give point-wise 1, 2, 3. You can give bullet-wise. So here bullet-wise has been written because that is important. I mean, because you have to differentiate different points. So since list has been asked, so accordingly you have to tell. Citizen-friendly governance through simplified procedures, grievance redressals. For example, CP Gram is already ongoing program of the government, and direct benefit transfers under the JAM Trinity is another program. Second is participatory approaches. As in aspirational districts program, another government program is we are quoting, where officers partnered with local communities to improve health, education, and agriculture. One example, live example, we are giving of one officer of his initiative of mobilizing citizens for road construction. Then another point, capacity building under Mission Karmyogi. This Mission Karmyogi is another government program, which is a very good program for capacity building, which equips officers with skills and ethical orientation to act as enablers. Then another, digital governance and PPPs is also very important for enabling or facilitating. E-office, which is already running the GEM, health and education projects to enhance efficiency and inclusivity. These measures reflect the preamble's values and Article 38's welfare mandate, echoing second ARC call. Thus, by combining facilitation with accountability, civil servants become catalysts of inclusive, sustainable growth. Now we'll go to question 6, part A. It is said that for an ethical work culture, there must be code of ethics in place in every organization to ensure value-based and compliance-based work culture. What suitable measures would you adopt in your workplace? So question is, again, I will read, to ensure value-based and compliance-based work culture, what suitable measures would you adopt in your workplace? Suppose you are a collector of a district, or you are a sub-collector of a district. So what will you do? So basically, you have to explain that. An ethical work culture must combine value-based orientation with compliance safeguards. As a civil servant, I would adopt following measures. So again, here also again, list has to be given. List can be given. 1, 2, 3 you can write. You can give bullet wise. You can, point wise. So here we will bullet points we are writing. Code of ethics and code of conduct align with constitutional values and Nolan principles of integrity. Accountability and service. The second ARC on ethics in governance also recommend institutionalizing these codes. Second, capacity building. Through ethics training, as in Mission Karmyogi, to sensitize officers to empathy, impartiality, and citizen centricity. Third is transparency tools like RTI, e-office, citizen charter to ensure accountability and responsiveness. Fourth is compliance systems, CAG audits, and enforcement of Prevention of Corruption Act to deter misconduct. Fifth is leadership by example. So one has to give leadership by example. That also is going to help a lot, as shown by E. Sridharan and several other officers also. So while compliance ensures deterrence, over-reliance may breed red tapeism. So again, a word of caution here. While compliance ensures deterrence, over-reliance may breed red tapeism. True sustainability lies in value internalization. Thus, a culture rooted in values strengthened by compliance and guided by second ARC reforms builds professionalism and citizen trust. So this completes sixth part A. Now we'll go to part B. India is an emerging economic power of the world as it has recently secured the status of fourth largest economy of the world as per IMF projection. However, it has been observed that in some sectors, allocated funds remain either underutilized or misutilized. So the question is, what specific measures would you recommend for ensuring accountability in this regard to stop leakages and gaining the status of third largest economy of the world in near future? So this question is very specific. Again, we have to tell the specific measures basically. So you see, last 3-4 questions are like that. You have to list out various measures. You have to list out various points of, in your answer. So here also same thing. To achieve the goal of becoming the third largest economy, India must ensure strict accountability in fund utilization, since underutilization and misutilization weaken development outcomes. So same thing we have taken from the question itself, so that our answer is focused. So we will not talk here and there. We have taken some sentences from the question, and then accordingly we want to develop. So key measures include, so what will the measures I list? You have to, what specific measures it has been asked. So now accordingly we have to tell various specific measures. So key measures will include outcome-based budgeting with measurable indicators as advised by second ARC to link allocations with results. Second is digital tracking. Another we are giving, here also we are giving bullet point wise. You can again write 1, 2, 3, depending on A, B, C, D. You have to list it out. So you have to do as per your choice. Digital tracking through PFMS and geotag dashboards as in aspirational districts program. Third is direct benefit transfers. So basically, these are the methods for better fund utilization and stop the leakages, stop misutilization. So accordingly, it has been listed. The direct benefit transfers exemplified by PAHAL system, which saved thousands of crores in LPG subsidies to curb leakages. Then another important is social audits and citizen participation, as in Manrega. Another is independent CAG audits under Article 266, safeguards to uphold constitutional accountability. So while compliance prevents misuse, excessive control may delay spending. Hence, capacity building and trust in institutions are equally vital. So here, a word of caution we are giving. If you do excesses in regulating and in checking, etc., then again the spending will become slow. So therefore, you have to also see that capacity building and trust in the institutions are also there. Otherwise, with these checks and balance, I mean, a lot of checks, the spending can become slow. So this is word of caution has been given. Now, conclusion. Thus, by balancing technology, compliance, and citizen oversight, India can prevent leakages and accelerate its rise to third largest economy. So now here we complete the part A of ethics paper. As you know, part B have already explained earlier in the earlier classes. So all the 6 case studies I have covered in detail, given the model answers also. Here again, all the 6 theoretical questions I have covered and given the model answers. I hope it is going to be very useful for the students who are preparing for next year's exam, because they will understand how to write good answers for even complicated questions. Because once you prepare and practice accordingly, you will be able to basically write better answers after thinking, even at the examination hall also. So that's what the purpose is. Next class, I will be taking 1 or 2 topics which I have left in the ethics, and then complete the ethics syllabus also. So all other videos are available in the YouTube, you can see. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll meet again in the next class. Thank you.